Alright everyone, welcome to something new. We're attempting something new here. It is still the spring football season, if you will. I mean, we're in spring and moving into summer now, so I guess we're approaching the end of spring football. I know the UFL is about over, and the AFL was a complete disaster, which is why we're doing this, an Arena Football Road to Glory. The team that started off the absolute downfall of AFL 3.0, we are going to be taking over the Philadelphia Soul in Arena Football Road to Glory and seeing if we can take them to glory. The Philadelphia Soul are actually, a good team at this point in the Arena Football League's history. The AFL would only exist for a few more years before filing for bankruptcy and ceasing the first time. So this is kind of like a weird thing in time. But looking at the roster real quick here, I guess I'll just prep you for what this is probably going to be. There aren't too many people who have done series in this game before, and probably for good reason. It's kind of a difficult game to do so. It only has a season mode, not like an actual proper dynasty or GM mode. Which is fine because the season mode is set up kind of loosely like the Madden games are, you know what I mean? But it's with all the Arena Football League rules, so you see the position players have different positions because the AFL uses Ironman rules, so your same guys will play on both sides of the field at different defensive and offensive positions. So it should be a little bit easier to get familiar with the roster, but I'm still going to struggle here through these first few games as I try to remember everybody's name, so please bear with me. I'm going to try and talk, I guess, as much about the league and history and stuff, just to try and give some context in case you are unfamiliar. But hopefully this is enjoyable. This is a series I've always wanted to do. I've done some sim stuff with this game, but now I'm just going to try and do an actual series. So looking over the league here, this is our division that we're going to be competing in. So the Dallas Desperados, the Columbus Destroyers, the New York Dragons, and of course us. We are going to be competing against each other to try and get into the postseason. So there are 4 divisions and 2 conferences. So both division winners, and then I think a wild card to get to go. I think that's how it works. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, so that's going to be our goal for the first season, is just to get into the playoffs. As we take a look kind of over our schedule here, as we start things off against the Rush here, then we go to Orlando to play the Predators, and then to Kansas City to play the Brigade. Then we come home to play the Grand Rapids Rampage, back on the road to play the Wranglers, and then we have the Destroyers at home and the Dragons and Desperados on the road. So some division play, and then the Tampa Bay Storm, and then a road trip with the Nashville Cats and the Georgia Force. And then down the home stretch, we have the Crush and Voodoo before we play the Destroyers, Dragons, and Desperados again. So an 18-week season with 2 bye weeks. Interesting. This game is slightly different than just the Arena Football game that came out. Both games came out within a year of each other, and there's some slight differences and variations to both of them. Like, for example, the Kansas City Brigade in the Arena Football game, their team name hadn't been announced, so they're just in there as the Kansas City KC. They don't have a name or anything. And then one year, the Voodoo were not listed, and then in this game, I think Hurricane Katrina had affected their season, but their name and logo and everything is still in the game, so you can still use them and play with them. They're in the season mode, so they're still treated like they're a regular team, but they did not compete, I think, in this season. So this is around like the 06 or 07 season, I think, for the Arena Football League. I always forget which game came first. I believe Road to Glory came first, I think. But they also put in the AF2 in this game, which is like their developmental league. But the action is quick and it's high flying, as you can see. One play and the Chicago Rush are already inside the 10-yard line. So we're going to need to put on our best commentator hat to try and keep up with all the action here, as Chicago is looking to get into the end zone, and they are successful in doing so. And a pretty weird play, but we're going to have to hold everything. There's a hanky on the field, and there is a holding call. So that is going to result in Chicago having to reshuffle the deck here and try things again closer to their own, or to our 15, and it doesn't seem to stop them too much, as another completion gets them right at the goal line. So to the same receiver, I think, who just had the touchdown. So we're going to go with the handoff and get into the end zone. Running the football in this game is not super easy in general. In the Arena Football League, it's not easy to run, but we will see some run plays. It can happen. So on our next drive, our answer back here, we're going to float it out to our receiver, who does not get to the first down. I believe it's Steve Smith, I think is actually his name, ironically. He's going to be our big guy here. Sean Smith did something like that. So on fourth down, we're going to keep the offense on the field because it's a short field. There's no reason not to. And we do make the completion for the first down, but there is twisting, which is a Arena League specific penalty. So we're going to pick up the first down anyway, and on the very next play, we are going to score and answer back to the rush. So it's already a 7-7 game here early in the first quarter. So from their own 5-yard line, Chicago is going to go for the all-home run ball, and they're going to get it inside the 5. A weird spot, dude. This game is glitchy, I will say that. This game is pretty glitchy, so it spotted them on the 1-yard line, even though it looked pretty clear that he got into the end zone. And again, on that handoff, it looked like he got into the end zone, but they're going to spot him at the 1-yard line. So on 2nd and goal for Chicago, they're going to go with a pitch play, and he's going to spin off of the tackle and fall into the end zone. And that time, it is good. So we are now going to move ahead to the end of the first quarter. Chicago's late touchdown there will hold for a lead early on here, but we have an opportunity on offense here. It's a very short situation right around midfield. We're sitting right on that logo here. We're going to try and get the first down. We're going to hand it off to the fullback / linebacker because remember, they do both, and he's going to pick up the first down for us. So our drive is going to continue now into Chicago territory, and the receiver goes in motion, and our quarterback's going to drop back and find an open man here, just a one-on-one coverage. There's not a lot of great ways to play defense in this league. It's pretty easy to get into the end zone, as I mentioned, so you probably already know that if you know anything about the Arena League. And so we find the end zone here. We're going to even things up with Chicago. So we're going to move ahead now to a 4th and 2 situation for Chicago now. They are in our territory, and they have an opportunity to take a lead. Potentially, they're going to go with the handoff and a crafty spin move, shaking off some even more tackles, and another tackle is shaken off, and he's going to get into the end zone. So, like I said, running the football is pretty difficult in the Arena League, but we will see some pretty nice and impressive run plays just like that one. And this dude's built pretty lean. He's not even built like a regular fullback in the Arena League, so that dude's just looks like a regular running back. So, another 4th down situation for the Soul offense here. We're in with the last minute of the first half, and it's going to be a pick 6 to the man who just had the touchdown for Chicago on the ground. So, or excuse me, that was Alfonso, their defensive specialist, number 23. I thought it was number 20, their fullback. But on the very next drive, we're going to lay up another interception to Alfonso. So within the last 5 or 10 seconds, we have given up 2 interceptions to Chicago, who does have the lead here. So we are folding pretty quickly here and at home, and Chicago's got plenty of time to get into the end zone, but not if they're going to do things like that and give us the football back. So boom, 3 turnovers in a matter of 10 or 15 seconds. So with 40 seconds left to go, 1st and 10 for the Soul offense, and that ball is batted yet again, and it's picked off again. I think that was Alfonso yet again. So 3 straight interceptions for our quarterback, and this game is just getting completely out of hand, just going back and forth. Nobody seems to want to win it, but so we're going to cut ahead here, Chicago, as a 28-14 lead here, and we're still just trying to get out of the first half, and it's another interception for Chicago, man. I don't know what is happening. This is just the wackiness of this game, but 2nd and 10 now. We have it in our own territory, and we're going for the absolute home run monster shot, and we complete it. Graziani, I think, is our quarterback's name. I'm trying to remember. Some of these guys are arena royalty, whatever that means. But, I mean, yeah, some of these guys are arena royalty, played for a long time. Aaron Garcia plays for the Dragons. So, you know, that just a few names that you might recognize. Not a ton, but there are a few. So, we take a 54-yard field goal as we get stopped on offense, and we actually make it. It's very rare to make field goals like that, but sometimes you do. And so we cut the lead now to just 4 as we've kind of climbed our way back within reaching distance of Chicago, and we come up with a massive stop on defense to force a 4th down situation for Chicago's offense, and they're just going to settle with the 3 points, which they do barely nail in. It's an 18-yarder, and the goalposts are smaller in this league than they are in the NFL, so it's not a guarantee, a chip shot like that sometimes. So 7-point lead is going to hold for Chicago, and we turn the ball over on downs as our offense is unable to really consistently move on offense. And the third quarter is going to come to a close, 24-31, looking like a regular NFL score, but I promise you it will not hold. Things can get out of hand quickly, as we saw 5 interceptions in one half, and that is Bibla, I think was his name. Yeah, Bibla. He's one of our line guys here. He gets off the edge and gets to the quarterback and causes a nice sack. So we're going to get, or rather, we're going to force Chicago to have to take a long field goal here. And can they potentially make it here and extend their lead even further? And they do not. So they miss. It goes off the net, and we have a chance to return it. And we get it just past about the 5-yard line. So we are in control here right now to at least tie the game up. And here we are now with goal to go, knocking on Chicago's door with a chance to tie this game up. Receiver goes in motion. We're going to hand the ball off, and our fullback cannot get into the end zone. See, these are the situations that are tough to get in. So it's another 4th down. We're going to get the offense on the field and go for it all. And Graziani sends that one into the turf, but hold on, there's another twisting penalty. So we're going to get another fresh set of downs here, but it's already 3rd and goal. We've already burned through them trying to run into the end zone. We're moving backwards, and Chicago is all over our running scheme. It's just there's no chance, no shot to get any type of separation at the line here. We're way too far to try to run it in, but we're going to keep the offense on the field again and try again. Graziani gets absolutely crushed, and it's a dog pile mad dash for the football, but Chicago comes up with it. So that is our 4th turnover. I mean, Graziani is just having an absolute just dud of a game, man, in the first game of the season. It's rough. So Chicago now has a prime opportunity to cement their lead here. They're trying to run some timeout, but we managed to stop them. And Sean Scott, our receiver, who's had a couple touchdowns, I think, in this game here, been one of our bigger contributors on offense. He injures himself here, but most injuries in this game are not that serious. So Chicago's going to bring out the kicking unit to try and knock home another one, and this time they do. It's a 47-yarder by France. He's able to knock it in, and that's going to give Chicago a 10-point lead here. But still, with a minute left to go, there's plenty of time for something to happen as Graziano goes for the deep ball, and he overthrows his receiver, and that one's going to bounce into the turf safely. And so that's going to bring up 4th and 10. This is likely our last shot here if we can't do something with it. And it's an interception back to Alfonso again. Or no, that's Molden now, the receiver, who was playing linebacker, either the Mac or the Jack linebacker. Those are 2 arena-specific positions here, but Chicago was able to add some more points. We didn't score again in this game, and the 41-24 score is going to be your final in Philadelphia. So we lose not only our first game, but it's also our home opener. So as you can see, the arenas are generic, so it doesn't super matter, but they do some different stuff for the end zones, which I think is neat. Try to give it some character in this game, just subtle details like that I think are really cool about this game. So pay attention to those if you notice them. But yeah, so our first game doesn't end very well. Graziani has a pretty terrible game through the air. We are unable to run the ball effectively pretty much at all. You shouldn't expect to have like great production on the ground, but 40 yards for Chicago is actually like a pretty great stat. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if an NFL team rushed for 90 yards. That's essentially, what that is. So, it's not like great, but it's definitely something you can rest on. So 3 touchdowns to 4 INTs and a 50% completion percentage is absolutely horrendous for Graziani. And here's our piss poor, pathetic rushing attack. Sean Scott here almost has 100 yards receiving on 7 receptions and 2 touchdowns, which is good for the Arena League. Blocking wise, there's really not much to speak of, but he also had 2 INTs, Sean Scott did, so he had himself a couple touchdowns and a couple picks. Man, that's what's great about this league. So hope to see you guys in the next episode when we take on the Predators.